Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. We are a Green Bay Packers fan podcast, bringing you topical and relevant Packers news, along with our most humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 277, and we're recording this on a Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. This is a video episode again, so if you're listening to just the podcast, why don't you try heading over to our YouTube channel, check us out on video. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me tonight on the vid stream is our one and only
Ren. What up, Tay? I don't know how to point, right or left, how this thing works. I'm getting used to it. Wrong way again. Oh, there you are, Tay. How you doing on Wednesday, July 10th, the ultimate dead time in the NFL as we await the final ink to dry on the J Love contract?
I'm doing very good. Starting to heat up in Wisconsin. If you're not listening from here, we're starting to get into the 80s consecutively. Had a ton of rain, and
ton of rain. I think that's all it does here is rain, Tay. It's actually
literally
got a dry week here, Tay. I don't know if it's finally like we're done, but it's been wet.
I don't think it's done, but it's getting warmer. So, we've got a week and a half till training camp. So
that's it.
I don't necessarily want to be sitting in watching practice in 90-degree weather, but we'll see. It's summer after all, and you can't complain. You got to take what you get here, because soon enough, Ren, the snow will fly, right?
Indeed, we didn't have any last year, so we're going to get paid back if this rain is any indication of what our weather pattern looks like in the nearer future. So, but we are not weathermen. We are a couple guys that talk topical and relevant Packers information. There isn't a lot going on this time of year, Tay, as we know. We're just kind of all patiently, I think, awaiting the Jordan Love contract. And this will kind of lead me into my first question for you, but I think it's got to be pretty close, Tay. I think they're down to the nuances of this contract, how this thing looks over the next 3 to 5 years. I don't think it's anything more than that at this point. But that said, for me to lead off today, we were trying to find content today, which is, again, difficult in these dead times. It's list time, as they say in the NFL. So yeah, we're grabbing at things. But if I ask you up front, we talk about Jordan Love, the 2024 season, up in front of you. You've got some scenarios here. Jordan Love is a Pro Bowler in 2024, All-Pro, MVP candidate, falls back from a year ago, digresses after the big contract. What say you, Tay? What do you think the outlook just here on July 10th, 2024, that Jordan Love's 2024 season will look like in that capacity from your mind?
My gut says Jordan will probably be the same as he was last year. He was good.
Well, what was he? Was he first half Jordan Love, or was he second half Jordan Love?
I think you have to mend them together, add them together, and that's what you're going to get. I still think there are going to be some trying times with him. There's no way he's just going to be like awesome. He can't repeat the last 8-9 games the whole season. It's just not going to happen. Nobody does that. That's an MVP type of season, truly. So we're not getting that. We'll be lucky if we do, but there's no way. It's not happening. This will be obviously his second year as a starter for the Packers. Yeah, it's his 5th year, but I just don't see that happen. So even if for me, this is best case scenario. He stays the same. He manages this team well. He throws up a decent amount of touchdowns, gets some decent amount of yards. He wins us some games. I'm okay with that. I'm not looking for an All-Pro Jordan Love this year. I'm not looking for an MVP, caliber season. I'm not looking for it because I don't think it's going to happen. And that's okay. Like, we don't need it to. So I think we're going to get, equal to what we had last year. If you put the sum of his two half of the seasons together, we're going to get some ups and downs for a little while from stretches. But overall, I think we're going to be happy with it. And I just hope that it doesn't like skyrocket, because then what are you going to do if you don't have your contract done, which is it's probably going to happen. But if you don't, you're going to pay him some money. But I think it's not as prove it this year as it was last year for Jordan Love. Obviously, last year was a huge prove it year. This is a lot less than that. And obviously, if they do give him a contract, they believe in that. But I think this is sort of like a, hey, you're gonna keep doing what you're doing, right, Jordan? Like that type of year. So I'm not gonna get my expectations blown out of proportion about what Jordan Love's gonna do. I think he's still, to me, okay. Let's see what you're gonna do this year for us, right? Like for the team, the cohesiveness, for your locker room, for the fans. Let's just see it all. I'm not gonna put anything on his shoulders that's I guess unattainable. So what about you, Ren? What are you putting on Jordan Love's shoulders this year?
I'm not necessarily going to put anything on his shoulders today, but I think his shoulders can bear an all-pro type of season. Um, you know,
What's all pro? Is that like when they designate you all pro, or is that like going to the Pro Bowl for you? What is
no,
that?
Pro Bowl is a lesser thing. All-pro is you are one of the best
Yeah.
at your position in your conference. You're there, and the reason I think he's pointing that direction is we talked about last year towards the end of the season. This is the youngest team in the modern era to make the playoffs. Um, it was a herky jerky first half of the season. We kind of saw that piece with the Steelers game. Remember when we talked about that? I was happy after a loss. You said, "Really, you're happy after a loss?" When we went to our first takeaway after that one, I said, "Yeah, I actually am." Finally, started to see the arrow point in the right direction. It's looking good, and then a few weeks later, he puts together just a magnificent game against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving and blows them out of their place. It was a fun holiday for all of us in Packer universe. A week before, he goes toe to toe with the Kansas City Chiefs, blow to blow. The Chiefs came back late in that game, but he didn't get rattled. He just kind of let them down, kept trading blows, and inevitably they win that game against the Super Bowl champs. And you look at the first half of the season. Yeah, there was a lot of trials and tribulations. It wasn't good to the point where I think Mark Murphy said, by week 8 we got to see something. Brian Gutekunst certainly made overtures that maybe it's not going so well. You saw that comeback win early in the season. He got down by 3 scores. First game at Lambeau against the Saints,
Saints. Yeah, yeah.
and came back. Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't play uptight. He doesn't play down or up to the competition. He just stays level. And what you saw, I think, in the first half last year that I don't think we'll see moving forward is those guys didn't play together. And it took some time to kind of coalesce, get that offensive line figured out. There was a lot of questions there. David obviously plays week 1, gives the middle finger to the Bears, and then they're trying to kind of figure this thing out, bouncing guys here, there, and everywhere at that line. And finally, by midseason, they start to get a cohesive unit. They don't have to worry about any of that now. Now you have second-year wide receivers, third-year wide receivers, second-year tight ends. They know each other. There's no reason this team and Jordan don't get off to a pretty solid start. Does that mean they're 8-0 to start the season? No. But are they 6-2? Are they 5-3 where they weren't last year through that first portion? Yeah, absolutely. And that's why the arrow is pointed strongly up for Jordan Love, and he can make all the throws today. And again, what he's gone through in his football career, from high school through college. He had his whole college staff and team removed in his final year. And yeah, he took a step back, but the year prior, he was fantastic. And it just shows that he doesn't really get rattled. And, Aaron Rodgers was the kind of guy where he was phenomenal, but in the big moments, he tightened up. And we saw that time and time again. And I just think this is a different guy. And I think he's a different type of player. And I think we're pretty fortunate to have a guy that it doesn't matter. There's not a high, there's not a low. Just I'm going to go out and do it, and that's why I do see him, having an all-pro type of season.
What does this guy say to you? Does this guy say 50 million plus a year, or is it less than that? What do you think, Ren?
I say I'm happy to be the Packers franchise starting quarterback, and I plan to be here my entire career. And I'm really happy. Green Bay and I got this worked out, and granted it's at the top of the market, but it's going to work out for everybody, and I'm going to make sure that my guys around me get paid moving forward. Because as other people will say, today's price is not tomorrow's, Tay.
I don't know. The contract thing is I don't know what to think about it. I mean, from a business standpoint, you don't want to pay a quarterback a ton of money. That's obvious. But also from a business standpoint, you don't want to, like you said, pay more later. And if you don't pay him now, I mean, you're going to have to pay through the nose later. And that's economical if you can get it done now and spread it out over 5 years. But
well, put it this way, Tay. So let's say my thought process works out, right? He's an all-pro. And you just paid him, you top the market at $56-57 million a year. 56, 57, 58 million dollars a year. And you got it done, and then he has a season. Or you didn't get it done, then he has a season. Now Dak gets 60, 62, something like that from the Cowboys, mid-late season. Jordan is going into, now we got to franchise tag him and get a deal done, and now we're paying him north of 63. So what's better for you, Tay? What do you say?
I don't know. I guess the thought that popped in my head was, I guess why is there two paths? Why is there pay now or get the contract done now, and why is there like a don't pay him? Can't we've historically done a lot of big contract extensions during the middle of the season to late. So what if you get in before Dak Prescott? What if you get in during this? We're having a good season. Like let's do this now, and then maybe you still don't have to pay him as much. So that's a possibility.
Well, you really want the Dolphins to come here in a week and give Tua a contract? I know they really don't want to give him because Tua does not have the upside that Jordan Love does. He's playing with arguably two of the best receivers in the NFL, and he gets near market deal, and then you're forcing the Love contract up even more. It's again, I think the contract is next week, Tay, and we're talking about it. It's done. Yeah, it's a top market deal at this point. Yep.
I don't know. I mean,
it's better now than later, and I believe that Jordan Love, based on the guy he is, and the next question to you is, on that receiving core, we just talked about it. They were the youngest team to make the playoffs in modern history since they've been kind of keeping track of these ages and these kind of things. Do the Packers need a number one? Do they need one of these guys to rise to the top to be number one? Does it matter to you? What are your thoughts on the core moving forward, and just where they're at?
The core. I love that this wide receiver core is basically on the same playing field level, I guess. They're all young. They're all first, second year players. Well, now more than that. Some are third. And that no one's deemed wide receiver one. I almost love that aspect. People like to throw that onto Watson. I disagree with that. I don't think there is a number one, and I'm glad there isn't. So I think you could have potentially 6 really good wide receivers on this team that are dynamic and that can play ball every week. And if you're able to put 5 out there, a lot during the season, the big 5, I think that is amazing. And I don't need there to be a WR1 at all. And I'm totally fine that if it goes that way and there's not. I think your most consistent wide receiver this year is still going to be Romeo Doubs. I have a lot of faith in that guy. I like that guy.
What's a touchdown leader for the Packers in 2023?
Mm-hmm. And so I'm hanging my hat on him as the constant. And you might get injuries with Watson, that sort of thing. Is he clear of that? I don't know. We'll see. Jaden Reed obviously is super dynamic and fast, can sneak behind defenses. So him as a playmaker is going to be awesome. But I think you need that like consistent possession receiver that can kind of do a little bit of everything. I think that's Romeo. So if that happens and Romeo's there every game, I think it's great. These other 5 guys can just fill in wherever needed, and take a load off of and the pressure off of Romeo too. So I'm cool with this young wide receiver core that's kind of no names at this point, right? Like Watson is a name just because he was drafted early, and I really think, and then he had a couple great deep balls. I mean, I'm not trying to diss the guy, but that's the reality. Like what has he done? Super awesome style. Like
He had
is
those
he a
couple big touchdown games in Aaron Rodgers' final year that you're like, whoa, what do we have here? And then,
yeah.
you know, some really nice games in between, but a lot of games missed thereafter. We can see the deep ball talent, the speed, but not a lot of consistency there forward.
Yeah. Well, what's your quick take on the wide receiving core? Like, do you like it the way it is? Do you think there's a someone that will rise to the top and take over that WR1 spot, or are you completely content with the way it is, like I am?
Oh, I love how they even preach it. When we talk about Jason Vrabel, and he basically tells those guys, if it's not going to be one of you guys one week, it's going to be another one of you guys the other. And they don't know anything other than playing with and off each other.
Yeah.
Most of these guys have complementary skill sets. Jaden Reed from the slot, Christian Watson, the deep ball threat. The route running abilities of Dontavian Wicks. Um, you know, your guy Dobbs being that clutch catch on third down kind of guy. Then let's not forget about the tight ends. Both you got this field stretcher, and you have the kind of classic tight end in Tucker Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
More of that block and release kind of guy. So they have all these complementary guys. I think Wicks could be the guy. He's my favorite of the bunch that, based on his route running abilities and what he does in the open field, could maybe project in my mind to that. But then you have the kind of the extra guy that we're not talking about, Bo Melton.
Yep.
And Bo Melton, has got that element outside of Christian Watson, the speed down the field. He can get behind the defense and hit some home runs for you as well. And again, I think he was the first guy to have the 100-yard game last year. So, I mean, you have all these guys together. They're all coming up together. And I think, they've all formed a bond along with the quarterback. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't think they see anything wrong with it. You look at the money given out to some of these wide receivers in the offseason across the NFL, and it's nuts. I mean, outside of quarterbacks today, this wide receiver money is getting crazy for these number one types.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Packers have done it right. I think other teams should say, hey, let's load up and hit it and get the stuff young and go with it with either a middle-aged quarterback, aging quarterback, young quarterback, but you provide your system so many more options with having them young and available. I think it's more textbook Packers building something and doing it so quick. When in the past you had one guy and then a bunch of kind of almost afterthoughts when we're talking about Devontae Adams and who went along with him. Sure, he had some decent compliments in Alan Lazard, and when Randall Cobb was there, he was all right, but nothing that speaks to the core of guys you have today. Those extras on, Alan Lazard was he was the fierce blocking release guy, great, but he wasn't all that special, really. We loved him, but he's nothing like what you see this full skill set be. So I think they've done it the right way. And again, I think the 2-year rebuild that Brian has done is amazing with regard to the skill position set that the Packers currently have. They're going to be under contract here for a few years with this pretty wide open window, even when you have a $58 million quarterback.
There it is again. You guys got to stick that in there, Ren. I don't know. We'll see. Just quick shout out to Bo Melton. He had a son today, so his son was born, and I think that was on social media today. So congratulations, Bo. That's awesome.
Congrats, Bo, and our first 100-yard receiver of the 2023 season. A guy they brought in, at the end of the 2022 season, right after the year ended, and what a find he turned out to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What else you got, Ren? Anything you want to lay on me before I move on?
Well, there's a couple guys and names I want to throw out there for you. One
Ah.
is, you know, for per the 2024 season, when you hear a name like Rashawn Gary Tay, what are you thinking based on how things went, how things were paid? 4 years, $96 million contract in 2023, $34 million signing bonus when he signed that thing, and an average APY of $24 million a year through 27. Obviously, you can get out quicker than 27, but what do you think and see and expect in your mind from a guy like Rashawn Gary based on what he's produced up to this point?
I'm expecting everything from Rashawn. And I believe he can deliver. As long as he stays healthy and on that field, he can do it. And I almost think that we need him to, because you have Lucas Van Ness on the other side, Enigbare. Who else is going to be rushing?
Preston,
Preston.
our vet,
The
the
veteran.
old Grizzly vet there, yeah,
So
Preston.
I really think, like, I just remember the days of Clay Matthews, and he was the only guy rushing, and they knew it, and we got stopped every time. Like, rarely did Clay ever get to that quarterback in the last 1 or 2 years of him playing. So it's important for one guy to get there and then open the door and the window for these other guys. So with the pay scale, yeah, he needs to step up. He needs to be there doing his job, getting to the quarterback, and just being a beast. And he can be a beast, and he can dominate. And sometimes he goes unsung. A lot of times he does not necessarily get to the quarterback, but he provides a lot of pressure and takes a lot of resources away from the offense. And I'm expecting that. I'm expecting him to, um, I'm expecting his stat sheet to be heavily filled in this year. And if it's not, I think that's a little bit of a letdown, a little bit of a disappointment. And I would think that most of Packer Universe would agree with me.
Yeah, I think it's a make or break year for the guy, and he's finally a full year removed from that ACL. We know that Rashawn is a offseason workout warrior. We've all seen the videos of him in sand just working his ass off. He's not sitting there resting on his potential laurels. He's out there trying to go get it. But based on the contract they gave him, I got to see definitely a 10 plus sack season, and I got to see him working towards you know being mentioned in that top 5 edge rusher in the NFL kind of thing, because I don't think he's sniffed that at this point, Tay. And again, big injury in there, but I think it's kind of a make or break year for him to go out and say, hey, and show it on tape that I am one of those top 10 preeminent edge rushers in the NFL, and I'm worth that $96 million I was paid.
Yep, absolutely. Um, and there are two guys behind him that probably would love to get a chance to be in there all the time, and to maybe you know be just as good. So he's got to come through for us. It's just almost necessary at this point. Yeah. So I
You
think
want to
about
bounce
that,
one to
Ren.
me, or you want me to bounce some more back to you, Tay?
No, keep him coming. Keep him coming.
All right. When you hear the name Josh Jacobs, I know it's a tough one for us because it also has Aaron Jones flavor to it, which means Aaron Jones is no longer there. We're talking about the 2022 rushing leader in the NFL, who then in 2023 had a pretty average season by all metrics. When you look at Pro Football Focus, it was 50th ranked running back in the NFL. Did have missed part of the season, late season with injury. Not very flashy type running back. Packers paid him a 4-year, $48 million deal. They can get out of it even within one season without really paying a lot of extra dollars and taking a lot of pain. When you hear the name Josh Jacobs and your thoughts of the man who replaced, the beloved Aaron Jones, what are your some expectations? What do you think about 2024 in a new town, a new city, a new scheme, a new offense for Josh Jacobs?
I think it's going to be fine. Like I'm always excited, and I was always excited for Aaron Jones. I think we all were. he was such a dynamic runner. He could do a lot of things. He could create tons of extra yards, create opportunity. I don't know a lot about how Josh Jacobs will fit into our team, the Packers. I really don't. But watching, some film and stuff of him, I think if you can get him out in space, out towards the sidelines, he can be a dangerous threat. Can he run through the offensive line like Aaron Jones could, like the knife that Aaron Jones could? I don't think so, but do you need that? I don't know. Like, are we going to see a lot of three clouds and dust with Jacobs until they could maybe work together on the offensive line to go off tackle? I don't know what to expect from there, but I guess like in the end, what I expect is somewhere in the middle, somewhere where it's not like, okay, well, he sucks, versus like, oh my God, MVP Josh Jacobs. I think there's somewhere in the middle there. That's where he'll end up and lie. I think as long as he could average probably, I want to say 4 yards a carry, like that would be good enough for me. Obviously, anything more than that is great, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone above average here to take some pressure off Jordan Love, to get those 2-3 yards when we have to, and then get them out in space and use them that way. I don't. Aaron Jones was a pseudo receiver at times too. I don't think we have that with Josh Jacobs, at least yet. I don't. Maybe we do. I don't know. I don't think so. So you kind of lose that, but maybe the other players like the tight ends and Marshawn Lloyd, does that. I don't know. We'll see. I'm really curious to see where his passing game comes in with the Packers and how they use him. Otherwise, using him as a rusher, straight up, no frills, no fluff. I think we're fine. He's going to do the job for us. So, I'm I'm expecting getting the job done, Ren. I'm not expecting flash and flare.
I think you said that well. I think Josh Jacobs, when you watch him run on tape, there is, like you said, there is no frills. That's the one thing I think we're going to miss a lot is that knife ability, as you mentioned, with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones could hit a hole and then turn right or left, depending on what direction he was going, and on a dime and be gone for 30 yards. He did lose his downfield ability to close the rest of that run out, but his burst was still there and it was phenomenal. I don't think Jacobs possesses that. I think he is a super smart guy who is a team leader, who is a very accomplished pass catcher in the backfield. Unfortunately, the scheme in Vegas was hot garbage. We know the coach was fired midseason for a good reason. Josh McDaniels was a terrible head coach in the NFL. Will likely never be a head coach in the NFL again. Basically took that franchise and ran it into the ground. I think Josh Jacobs, with this change of scenery, with the skill set there, is going to have a pretty successful season. I think he averages 4 to 4.5 yards to carry. We're going to be extremely excited about it. We are inevitably going to miss that dynamic element that is no longer on the field, i.e. Aaron Jones. But I think maybe the rook behind him, Marshawn Lloyd, may provide that explosive knife excitement. If we're going to see knife excitement out of the backfield, it's going to come from Marshawn Lloyd. But I think Josh Jacobs can be a stalwart, can give you a ton of carries throughout the year, get some nice catches out of the backfield when, hey, they're trying to cover up all those pass catching options. And guess who squeaks out and goes for 15 on a pretty consistent basis throughout courses of different games? Josh Jacobs. So I think he's going to be a very consistent, strong player, but I appreciate your thoughts on it too.
Yeah, I think one last thing. I think like the X factor, variable that we don't know and we can't quantify is him coming to a place like the Packers, really enjoying himself, loving the team he's around, the area, the coaching staff, like the change of scenery, like you mentioned, like that can be something that can really harness a player to be, even better than they are. And I think it seems like that is happening with Josh. Like he likes it here. He's the number one back, and he's got another like, hey, I'm gonna prove it with this young team, and we can actually go places. This team went to the divisional round last year. Like we can get better. we can
Yeah.
go further. So I think that's a huge thing for him, and that can translate into better productivity on his part.
Yeah, he's not a dumpster fire poverty team like the Las Vegas Raiders were last year. They were. They're awful, and they
Yeah,
didn't know how
yeah.
to utilize his skill set. They don't have a guy like Matt LaFleur calling plays and setting him up for success. There was none of that there. So and he knows that. He sees it already. He's so much spoken to it. He talks about the
Hmm.
scheme and looking so forward to playing in it and looking forward to playing with Jordan Love and the talent that he sees there in Love as well. So I think he's going to have a really solid season. I think there'll always be that little bit of our heartstrings, missing that again, that quick shifty knife that we had as our starting back, but maybe not missing that availability being the best ability today.
Hmm. Right on, right on. Yeah, you want to move on a little bit?
Yeah, let's another guy had as a name because I know you're a fan is that Van Ness monster. Um, you know, and trying to get in your head or your headband on this one. Um, year two, Tay, we got to see a little bit more. What are your thoughts on Lucas Van Ness year two in Green Bay under the new Halfley system? Pin back and go.
Yeah, there, there should be no reason why we shouldn't see more of him, more productivity. We shouldn't, hear his name called more than last year. I mean, you saw it against Fields. He's able to chase down, running backs, quarterbacks in the backfield. Um, I think we're going to see more of that. I really want him to turn the corner early, I guess, on getting to the quarterback to build that confidence. I think if we hear his name early in the season, I think that bodes really well, um, because you probably get Enigbare coming later. You'll hear Preston, but we got to hear, Van Ness's name early. He's got to become that next Rashawn Gary for the team. He has to, because then if he doesn't perform, then you think less of him. You think, well, why did we select you there? Preston, who knows what's happening to Preston next year? And then now all of a sudden your room's pretty short, and so it's like you got to come through here, Van Ness. And to me, there's no reason why we can't see that, and we can't see his level jump up. You know, increased from last year. It just has to, but there's no reason why it can't and why it shouldn't, right?
I expected to based on the draft capital he used on him just, one, you know, now just about 2 short years ago, where coming into year two fully in his NFL career, he's got to take a jump today. If he doesn't, you're right. I mean, they're going to look into the 2025 draft and go, we might need another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So it's his year to take a step. Does he have to be all pro or pro bowler? No, but he's certainly got to improve his, you know, sack totals. He's got to improve his quarterback pressures. He's got to prove it to I think all the universe, and it's a prove it year for Lucas Van Ness without a doubt.
Right on. I agree. I agree. Any more names on your list, Ren?
Oh, I've got more, Tay. If you want me to keep going, Jair
Oh,
Alexander, first year
oh,
ever in his career, Tay, that he shows up for OTAs. Never has before, Tay. Does he get back to all pro level football?
does he get back? Ah,
And do they need him to get back to that spot?
um, obviously last year, was it last year that he wasn't around the whole time?
Correct.
Um,
Also got suspended for a game for going
yeah,
out into the middle of
yeah.
the field in Carolina when he was not invited. Just kind of pushing his way through some things, kind of not listening to coaching staff, not a lot of respect. Learned a lesson, he said. A lot of, a
I
lot of
think
different Jair drama we had in the last 12
yeah.
months.
So I think as fans, we really need to see what happens there and how that transforms into you know clean and proper Alexander. I think we need to see that he's indicated that he's better now. He's on path, but you know what you mentioned before, he actually did show up to OTAs. Is that an indicator that we're all fine here? We're all fine here now. Thank you. Is it over? Is it the past? Is that the old coaching staff? Is that old Aaron Rodgers crew? Like, what's going on? Like, is that done?
Is that
I don't know.
no Joe Barry in the house anymore today?
Yeah, no Joe Barry, but I
We got a cornerback, defensive back minded
yeah,
defensive coordinator.
I think all that helps. It all has to help, and it probably does. Do we need him to be all pro again? Uh, when you look at this contract, yes, you need him to be because he's getting paid like it. But
Big time.
like, I think he will be a lot better this year if he stays on the field healthy. Absolutely, you can kind of rely on him to be that isolated corner on an island kind of guy. And it sounds like we're playing more press man, so that's great. Um, do we need him to be all pro? No, because we got it done last year in the CB area without him there a lot of the time. We made it work. And that was even with Joe Barry. So I don't know. Is he a cornerstone? Does he hold this CB room together? I don't know. Last year he really didn't. So it remains to be seen. So I don't know how to answer that, but I don't think we need him to be extra super caliber Alexander this year. I think we just need him to be on the field every game.
Was that supercalifragilistic Alexander?
Alexander
Okay.
Lucius, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Nice. All right, Tay, I had to throw it out there.
Yep.
Is Anders Carlson the kicker in 2024? And a tie into that, the guy was brought in. The Packers finally paid the money to a special teams coordinator, the Fence, to bring in a good guy who had head coaching experience as an interim head coach in Vegas. Speaking of the Vegas Raiders, took him to the playoffs actually as interim coach. And now in his third year, hasn't shown a lot of growth with those special teams. Is Anders the kicker, and is this make or break for Rich Bisaccia, Tay, as the special teams Fence coordinator?
Whoa! I guess this is the season, the off season for these tough questions and speculation. So that's a good one. I don't think they'll get rid of Rich unless he takes an offer better somewhere else. I don't know.
I think those days might have passed for him, Tay. I think those
right.
opportunities
So
might finally have passed for Rich.
So that it might, it might be self-evident that he just stays, and becomes or stays as the special teams coordinator. They seem to listen to him when it comes to this kind of stuff still. So I guess you have to have some faith, if you have faith at all, in the Packers coaching staff now, that he knows what he's doing, he knows what he's talking about. Anders Carlson, you know how I feel about him. I think they're going to stick with him regardless. I think he's the guy, and eventually, I think he will work out.
Has there been a better 17 today?
Yeah, there has been a better 17. Evidently, I didn't look. I just saw the headlines, but Aaron Rodgers is still, according to Davante Adams, trying to get him to come to the Jets. But that's a topic for another podcast.
In his ear, yes.
Yeah. So there's been way better 17s. Anders Carlson, to me, is just it totally has a prove it kind of year. Did they give up on a kicker if he stinks? Sure. I mean, you got to get someone in there that can kick. Rich Bisaccia, is he tied to that? I don't think so. I think he's got enough going on, and hopefully the special teams will be better than they were last year. Is this a make or break for Rich this year? I don't think so. I think there's some special teams rules that are changing this year, so you have to kind of account for that. Maybe Nixon, has 4 TDs this year, off kickoffs, and you're like, that does a lot for a special teams coordinator. You get 1 touchdown, you're like crowned, so that might do it too. So we have to kind of roll with the changes here, see if it kind of how it shakes out in the end. But I don't know. Like, are you off of Rich if things kind of go downhill this year?
I mean, Anders is going to be the kicker today, unless he has just a terrible training camp. He's going to be the kicker. That doesn't mean if he has a bad 24 season, he's out. He's only going to get the second year, and he could be out. Late season if he's not kicking, they bring in a vet if he's not doing well. and that will reflect on the special teams coach. Like if he loses a couple games because he missed kicks they needed, obviously Rich is going to vouch for him. We know that. That could put him on the hot seat. Put it
I think
because
if
somebody always Hafley's not getting access first year. LaFleur ain't going anywhere next year, and there's always a scapegoat. And if it happens to be a kicker lost you some big games, Rich Bisaccia could be looking for a new job in 2020.
You're teeing up Rich's demise here.
I'm not teeing it up. I think Rich is a good dude. I think guys listen to him. I think he's a big voice. I think he's a de facto another type of head coach in those areas. I think Matt lets him do his thing. I think they have certainly given him a lot of draft capital, even in this draft, with guys that will, definitely contribute to special teams. But I think if special teams doesn't improve significantly, they've still been around 20th in the NFL today. They haven't taken a serious leap under Rich's watch. If they stay there or get worse, and you have some kicker issues, yeah, he could be on the hot seat.
I think
not saying I'm rooting for it. I'm not. Absolutely not. I like Rich, the guy. I like I like his attitude. Rooting for success, but I think, in those cases, a guy like that could be definitely under the gun.
I think he keeps his job if he sees an issue with the kicker situation and he acts on it, and we know it, and he advises Matt LaFleur to do something about it. I think that's another scenario where Rich is safe. So, yeah. I don't know.
Talking Wii Fence. Yeah, it's going to be one of the fun places to watch this training camp. Is going to be the Wii Fence day. We know that, along with the backup quarterbacks and those kind of things. There's not a lot there. The offensive line, how that shakes out, but these are the kind of things that we have to look forward to in late July and August.
Yep. All right. Well, we have like one little last segment here, Ren, that I'd like to do with you. You're probably wondering why I'm wearing my.
Yeah, I want to wrap my head around your segment, or wrap my headband around your segment here, Tay.
Well, I've been working out and I've been getting ready for training camp. You see, so I've got like
you look at whoa, nice. Who snapped that to you?
My producer, he's over there. He's yeah. So
working the boards in the background. I hear you.
So we're getting ready for training camp. And it's going to be starting soon. So we thought we'd look at a few players on the Packers that we want to keep an eye on. So we're going to pick some players that kind of fit a certain category. So everyone at home can follow along too, and even play this game with us. But I will bring up our first category, and this is it here, Ren. The bounce back player for the 2024 season. Now, I guess this means to me that this is someone that has underperformed last year or the last few years, that you kind of see takes a step forward and has a better year than he's ever had. And kind of maybe not came out of nowhere, but all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, he's back, baby. He's back. So do you have anyone in mind for that?
Yeah, Jay, I think it's a pretty easy one. Eric Stokes. I mean, this is a guy that the coaching staff has, a lot of high praise, just heaping praise on this guy in the offseason, where he's back at. They really need another boundary corner. You talked about press man. That's where he succeeded in 21 on the outside on his own. If he's able to get back into that 21 form, and you've got Jair on the other side, you've got different guys you can play in the slot. That would be my guy. Do they need him? Cool. I think they do. Obviously, Valentine's a nice player. I like Valentine a lot. They're going to see what, another training camp battle, what Kalen King brings to the table with a big chip on his shoulder, drafted in the 7th round. But I think, obviously, if there's one that could be that guy, it would have to be Eric Stokes.
Right on. No, that's a good one. All signs point to yes, he should be. My pick, Ren, you're gonna hate me for this. Packer Universe is gonna hate me for this, but mine is the mayor himself, AJ Dillon. I think he has a bounce back year. I think he does better than last year, where we all kind of cast him aside and said, "Get rid of this guy. He's not he just can't get it done." I think that changes this year. I just have a feeling. I can't put my finger on any stats or any kind of like coach's perspective necessarily, but it's just my gut. I think he's here to stay, Ren. He's going to live in Door County in Wisconsin his entire life, and I think he found his place. And I think this is the year. Even if it's injury, he's going to come through. And I think he is somewhat of a veteran. I think even Marshawn Lloyd was talking about AJ Dillon this past week and how important he is as a veteran to tell them what to do and what's going on. And you've got questions, you go to AJ Dillon. I don't know. I just think to me, it just all translates into a positive thing for him. I think he's gonna prove you wrong, Ren. He's gonna prove you wrong.
Well, I'm not saying this guy's gonna, just be awful. I think he's on the bubble to make the team still. I think that said, I think he does make the team. I think you're right. I think he has by numbers, not a super productive year, but at times when called upon, does some really nice things.
The eye test. He'll pass the eye test and come
I
through.
I don't see him having a phenomenal year, but comeback player of the year kind of thing. I wouldn't say that.
Well, bounce back for the Packers. For the Packers, he's a bounce back player.
All right, bounce back player. Fair enough.
Well, the next category, Ren, is the breakout player, and this is someone that you kind of didn't see this happening to, or you're like, it's gonna like kind of about time kind of thing, where yeah, okay, I expected that, so about time, and we needed you kind of thing. So for that, I've selected Mr. Carrington Valentine. I think
And
that
why did you select Carrington Valentine?
I did because I think this is going to be his breakout year. I think he's going to surpass Eric Stokes in the starting position. And I think that's going to be a key training camp battle regardless. So I think you're going to see those two kind of pitting for number 2. And I think Valentine's going to take that. I think he's going to step it up and be that boundary corner, that island corner that we kind of need, especially if there's some injuries on that CB, room in the CB room that we might need him to step up. So I think he showed a lot of zest, a lot of action last year, and I think this is his year to be like, okay, we can depend on you now. You're not just a quick thinking rookie that just is reacting. He's thinking about it and able to get it done. And I don't know. That's why I'm selecting Valentine for sure.
Mine say, and I'm going to give you a 2-prong answer, but up front, because it doesn't totally work for your scheme, but up front is going to be Xavier McKinney. Does that seem crazy as a breakout player? No, but this is a guy that just brought in. He's one of the top 2 safeties in the NFL last year. He's going to be playing in a similar scheme. He is just 24 years old, in his prime. That's where you want a guy. He is going to be the captain of that defense in that backfield. He knows where to be, when to be there, and he's going to make this whole thing go. Something they did not have in 2023 is just this type of player who can massively affect the back end of your defense and even do things on the front of your defense. Having that chess piece is going to be phenomenal for this defense and this new look defense under Jeff Hafley. My second note to that would be Rasheed Walker. Everybody's written him off, not everybody, but initially when they drafted Jordan Morgan. I think Rasheed Walker is going to, his second half of the 2023 season was phenomenal, Tay. He was herky-jerky in that first half, but he locked down into, I think, a Pro Bowl style tackle. And I think he's only going to build on that in his resume, and he's going to lock down that left tackle position for the Green Bay Packers. I really do. David Bakhtiari believes it. It's just a guy I think is never going to give that position up. I think he's going to solidify it, and they're going to be in a great position at that left tackle. And I see maybe Jordan Morgan down the line being a left guard.
Nice. Love it. Love it. I love to see that optimism on that offensive line and knowing we have guys that we can rely on. So, no, that's great, Ren. Next category is the sizzle or fizzle. This is where someone is just on fire this year. It doesn't have to be a breakout year or anything. It's just like that guy is hot for the team. And the other one is fizzle, like someone that's just not going to perform, just fizzles out over the season. You kind of like just shrug your shoulders and wonder how'd that happen. Oh well. But that's what I would consider fizzling out. So my sizzle Ren is Luke Musgrave. I think he comes back after last year of being gone from injury. I think he comes back and has an awesome year. I think I almost would say this is going to be like a Tunyon type of season for him, where he is everywhere all of a sudden, catching those 8 to 10 yard passes, maybe going for um, 20, 25. He's going to be in the end zone a bunch. And Musgrave can stretch the field, so you might see those long posts for the long balls that connect too. So I think Musgrave is going to sizzle this year. Yeah, Tucker Kraft's there; he proved himself as well. But I think just the like the speed and the height and the more receiver type in Musgrave is going to translate with this offensive system into a ton of catches. An outlet for Jordan Love and a touchdown machine.
Honestly, yeah, you read my mind on that one. That would actually be my answer, Lucas Musgrave. We're talking, you know, field stretching tight end that unfortunately, yeah, the second half of the season missed a lot of time, but allowed our other guy in Tucker to flourish and also add the other element to tight end. So they're in great shape there. But the Packers have something in Lucas Musgrave they have not had in a long time, and that is, a field stretching tight end that you can hit a 20-yard ball over the seam and he's going places. When he caught it in Dallas, Tay, would he have to wait for it to come in there? That long ball down the
Yeah,
sideline. Um, you
like the
know,
100th touchdown of the game.
yeah, it wasn't his fault on that one. It was like you got to get the ball there, quicker. But obviously Jordan had a great day. But no, I mean he's gonna just open up this what we already see as this kind of wide open ocean. Who does Jordan pick on a given drop back when he's in play action, and having that field stretching tight end and the type that Lucas is something they haven't had since Jermichael Finley. And him hitting, a stride into year two and hopefully staying healthy. So, 100% agree with, yeah, that's a guy who's gonna just build upon what he started off in the first half of the 23 season into hopefully a really successful, healthy 2024.
Right on. I love it. My fizzle, my guy that I'm not expecting to do bad this year, but I don't see him taking any kind of leap forward, and maybe he fizzles out. This might be a little controversial as well, but I think it's going to be Quay Walker. I think he's hit a roadblock. I don't know if he can get better than he has, and I think maybe he's reached his pinnacle here. I hope I'm totally wrong about this, but if I'm just selecting a player that I think maybe is going to fizzle out. I think Edger and Cooper, McDuffie. I think those guys are just going to be waiting in the wings for this to happen. And maybe we give the rookie the chance to have the starting position, but I just don't see Quay accelerating to the spot we need him to be or want him or expect him to be this year. I mean, he was a high draft pick. Um, I don't know. My gut says that maybe this is it for him. This is he's hit his ceiling and he's not going to get any better. He's not going to do anything more for us. I guess that's I can't explain it any more than that, but that's my risky play here with taking Quay Walker as my fizzle.
I don't think it's, Quay has not fully lived up to the billing. I don't think you're completely outrageous with that pick. I think the new scheme will certainly, hopefully, push him forward. I don't think necessarily the scheme was best for him under Joe Barry. I think he'll get
Yeah.
better, but certainly there's a lot of room for growth. But there's also, like you said, the ability just never to meet that ceiling he has.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're totally outrageous based on him not playing up to his billing at this point through the few seasons he's been with the Packers. So mine actually is pretty easy. Uh, Josh Myers will start the season as center, and he will
Yeah.
fizzle
Good.
out. And by week 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there, he will be replaced. And either, you know, Zach Tom or Elton Jenkins will be the center of the Green Bay Packers. And that experiment with Josh Myers will have ended. And obviously, he'll be a free agent to end the season. And they'll move on from Josh Myers. So I think the easy one to fizzle out is just that. He's going to start the season as that and then inevitably not finish the season as the center for the better of the overall best five on that O line as the season progresses, not having Josh Myers as your starting center for the Green Bay Packers.
I think the only solace that Packer Universe can take with that is that we have two players that we know of that can handle the job just fine if that does take place. So I hope Josh gets better. I hope he lives up to expectations and stays in that position of the starting center. But like you said, and I agree, there's a
We
possibility he doesn't.
we've seen the arrow turn the wrong direction for too long there.
Mhm. All right, last category is most valuable for the Packers in the 2024 season. And you've mentioned this guy as your breakout player, but my most valuable player for this year is going to be Xavier McKinney. I think this guy is going to take our defense to the next level. We're going to be able to rely on him to be there every game and to provide that leadership to not only the backfield but the entire defense. Um, he's only 24, but he just seems like a vet already, right? Like he seems like he's he's not like Preston Smith status, but it just seems like he's like, oh, this guy has been here for a while. And I think a lot of the other guys, know he like knew that he came from the Giants, and then he had some success over there. But I don't know, just his demeanor and the way he carries himself just seems more veteran than maybe he actually is in terms of years. So I think at the end of the day, at the end of the season, we're going to look back and say, man, McKinney was our rock and totally carried maybe this defense, not only on the field, but in the locker room. I didn't include Jordan Love. I didn't want to select the quarterback because that's too easy. So I selected a different player, and I landed on Xavier.
It's easy, Tay. It is the quarterback. Pick the easy one. He's going to get the contract. He's going to build off the second half of the season success that he had with the Packers. He's going to, we've already mostly forgotten number 12, number 8. He's going to lead them deep into the playoffs. He's just going to have a super successful year. He's going to say all and do all the right things because that's who he is. And he's going to show you that, yeah, they did it a third time, Tay, in a row. Jordan Love is the
Okay,
easy one for me. The
man.
Packers, on his way to being, the guy we watch for the next decade plus. And we're
Yep, yep.
all real happy about it by the time we do get to the end of the season, knowing, hey, we're in good hands once again.
Yep. No, that's okay. I'll give you that one, Ren. It's fine. It's fine. Uh, let's go. Let me switch back here. So yeah, that ends my little segment. I think it's it's fun to kind of think about, especially during this time. How players are going to do for the team, kind of predict what they're going to do, and it kind of just prepares you to watch training camp and to root for guys. It's almost like fantasy training camp where it's like, okay, I really want this guy to do well, so I'm going to pay attention to him more, and hopefully that he comes through. But not that we're not watching every play or a player in every position, but yeah, just something to do. Hope you guys played along at home, and yeah, you can always send us your comments or even your picks to info@packeruniverse.com. You can head over to our website, got some stuff over there. Follow us on social media. We are out there. Um, But I just wanted to say, everyone out in Packer Universe, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And Ren and I will be back next week to prepare even more for training camp 2024.
Yeah, we'll talk maybe what are more of those key battles like we talked about. Watching who will get that second, third, maybe fourth running back spot, who will be the backup quarterback, who inevitably will be the kicker. We know who'll be the kicker, and many other fun things as they shuffle through training camp. Just 10 short days away, Tay, until episode 278, Tay, on the Pup List.